So Terraria has a staggering 19 events that can occur now. Some of them are iconic, and some go under the radar all the time, but out of these, which ones take the cake as the best events, and which ones fall flat as just a fun little thing? Today, I'm going to go ahead and rank the 19 events in order of how much use you can get out of each one for the average Terraria playthrough. And to quickly define things a little bit more, by how much use you can get, I mean all sorts of use. Like you can get a significant amount of use out of vanity and furniture, for example, even though it doesn't help with progression. That's about all the yapping I have to do, so let's get into the ranking. Starting with number 19, the Meteor Shower. If you don't know, the Meteor Shower is a little weather-based event that spawns two things, fallen stars and enchanted nightcrawlers. But only sometimes. It's weird. I will say though, I do actually really like these types of events for aesthetics and whatnot, and I hope to see more in the future, 1.4.5. But yeah, usefulness definitely doesn't go too far here. Number 18 is the Lantern Night. This one's super interesting as until after Moonlord, you get only one of these after every first kill of a boss or invasion, which is pretty cool to be honest. I will say though, this one doesn't have all that much bonus outside of looking pretty. It gives you a short luck boost for as long as the night lasts, and release lanterns. Number 17 is the Torch God. Easily the number one spot on the weirdest event list, but if you're conscious, you probably noticed that that's not the list that we're doing. Torch God is another luck related event. When you beat it, you get the Torch God's Favor, which is a permanent item similar to like the health boost from life crystals, for example. If you take a sip of this thing, you'll probably suffer third-degree burns or something. But if you use the item normally, your torches automatically change to match the biome you're in, giving a bit of torch luck. Moving on, of course I have to remind you all that I'm trying to go for the big 10k subs soon, and if you enjoy the video and you're not subscribed, drop a sub, thank you. Then on to number 16, I have the Frost Legion. Initially, I had these guys last place because all they drop is snow blocks, and if I remember correctly, there might be, another place you can get those. However, I was reminded of Santa Claus, an NPC that unlocks specifically after the Frost Legion. Santa has a whole bunch of festive decorations and vanity, which in my opinion can give way more use than some minor luck boosts. On to number 15, Windy Day. This is the last of the weather-related events that are relatively not super great. It spawns three new fellas, being the Angry Dandelion, Balloon Slime, and Ladybugs. The only of these three that is truly useful is the Ladybug, which is an ingredient to luck potions, probably the best luck booster you can get your hands on. Other than that, the Windy Day allows for a whole bunch of new kite drops and also paper airplanes, so nothing crazy. Then number 14, of course, the Party. This is an interesting one for sure. It mostly just gives you access to a bunch of buyable vanity and building items from the Party Girl, but also Pigranados, which you buy from the Party Girl. These can give you bacon and party bullets, both kind of ahead of their time for the fact that you can get these pre-hard mode. Also, we have the Slice of Cake, which is from the Party Girl. This is probably the best item from parties, because it's an infinite use movement and mining speed buff that lasts for 2 minutes, but you can always just hit the cake more times to get the buff again. Great item. Last thing, after a party has occurred, the cool slime can move in. Pretty cool. Number 13, Slime Rain. If you've seen a slime rain, this one is super self-explanatory. Lots of slimes, pinkies are good money. After you kill a bunch of slimes, you get a free ticket to a king slime fight without having the hassle of making a spawner. That's about it. Pretty great. Number 12, Sandstorm. This thing is hard carried by sand elementals. These drop forbidden fragments, a pretty good crafting material. There are 3 things you can make with these. The Sandstorm in a bottle, a pre-hard mode accessory that you can also just fish for. The elementals are hard mode only, by the way. Second item is the Spirit Flame, and if we're being honest, this thing is kind of mid compared to the other magic weapons of its time, so not amazing. Lastly, easily the best of the 3, the Forbidden Armor set. This is oddly a magic and summoner hybrid set that can keep up with the other early hard mode armor sets, and it also provides a really cool playstyle. That's about it from the Sandstorm that's really worth mentioning. Decent event. Speaking of decent events, for number 11, Plain Old Rain. For this one, before I get into the items, I want to mention that the rain actually increases fishing power, and it allows for harvesting of water leaf, both pretty good bonuses. For item content, it doesn't go too far, but we got some hefty stuff nonetheless. There's some vanity and armor, and also a guitar from Flying Fish. Weird game, dude. Anyway, the rain event also gives us access to the Nimbus Rod, a super nice weapon, and also rainbow blocks. Then, for a little plot twist, the blizzard is entirely tied in with rain, so of course we gotta include it here too. This is the main reason why I put rain above Sandstorm, if you were curious. Here we can find ice golems, which drop ice cores and ice feathers for frost armor, frost wings, and the cool whip, which I deem to be overall better than the desert stuff, which is why it's a place above. For the 10th spot, I'm gonna make this one snappy. It's the thunderstorm. This is exactly the same as rain, but with lightning. The reason it's higher is we got some juicy spoilers for what lightning might be able to do in 1.4.5, so I gotta put it above rain. Number 9, pirate invasion. Honestly, this one I considered putting a tiny bit lower on the list, but I settled for a higher point because of the quantity of stuff, like how we got a nice new furniture set and a handful of decent vanity items. The event has a few weapons, which aren't awful, but generally they're either quickly outclassed or the coin gun, which is like impossible to rank. So now let's move on to the good stuff, which is mostly the equipable items and also a fun little after bonus. The pirate invasion has 3 hull accessories, a mount, and the pirate NPC. Okay, fine. I know we're working with the NPC that I said was the worst, a mount that got nerfed so hard that it's like a baseball pitcher losing his arm, and the accessories are things that you probably just like have in your wallet right now, so... But at the end of the day, the more NPCs the better. Worse infinite flight is still infinite flight, and I know you all need a discount card when this little idiot is around. Enough yapping. Number 8 is the lunar events. There's not really much to say here. The pillars drop fragments, which obviously make you pretty much the optimal Moonlord weapons for all 4 classes. It's very useful, but I mentioned earlier how an event being useful for longer gives it more weight, and seeing as how this one literally spawns in the final boss afterwards, you're not using it for that long. For the big number 7, I have the solar eclipse. This is absolutely the point where we start to get a whole collection of loot for every single event, so I'm going to speed things up a bit from here. The solar eclipse gives you 6 weapons and 3 accessories, along with the materials to make the Terra Blade and Batwings. Of the 7 total weapons, the ones that stand out as the better ones are the Deadly Sphere Staff, Eye of Cthulhu for being the best yo-yo before Moonlord, and the Death Sickle, because you can get it after just 1 mech, and the other stuff is Postmine Terra. Last weapon, obviously the Terra Blade is really good, not really much to say there. All 4 of the accessories that I mentioned are all very good, and they have their place in the game for sure, putting the Eclipse up this high. Nice. Number 6 then is going to be the Martian Madness event. This is another mosh pit of items type event with a pretty massive 6 weapons, 2 mounts, a grappling hook, a drill, and some snazzy new blocks. To keep it simple, I'd say the weapons here put in a bit more work than the ones from the Solar Eclipse. The Xenostaff and Influx Waver are some of the highlights, which can be amazing weapons for the final stretch of the game. Also, we have one of the better Infinite Flight mounts here too. For number 5, I decided on the Frost Moon. I actually made a video like a year ago on the Frost Moon versus Pumpkin Moon and decided that this one was the lesser of the 2. It still is pretty great though. We have a nice 7 weapons here with a set of wings, 2 mounts, and a grappling hook. Kind of the late game event starter pack, to be honest. The chain gun, razor pine, snowman cannon, Christmas tree sword, etc. are all pretty good weapons, and the rest of the gear isn't bad at all either. The reason I put this above Martians is simply because there's so much more content that this gear is useful for, like all of these events for example. Moving on to number 4, quite the twist no one expected, Blood Moon. In my last video, I said a lot about how great this event was, so if you want more info, go check that out. I know this placement right between Frost and Pumpkin Moon is weird, but let me explain. The main point of my video was to recognize the longevity of this event. Literally everything lasts for such a long period of the game, even the weapons. Also, there's a whole new wave of goodies in hard mode and pre-hard mode, which doesn't happen much. The weapons are great, accessories are great, everything's great. Yeah. Of course then, number 3 is going to be the Pumpkin Moon. I would argue that this event is fairly significantly better than the Frost Moon, clearly enough to slide another event between them. The reason I say this one is better is because there is another handful of great weapons, with some great purpose too, but there's also a whole armor set, the mounts are just better overall, there's 2 wings versus 1, and the list goes on. Moving into the big number 2, I have a really interesting Old One's Army pick. This event is one of the most fun, one of the most unique, and most importantly, one of the best, like straight up. This is also the only event to have 3 different stages that it upgrades to throughout the game, and each one has a nice new batch of freshly baked, gourmet, homemade items. Some of them are a little burnt, but there's still a lot of great stuff here. On the first stage of the event, after the evil bosses, you get access to the first level of sentries, a mount, and some pretty good summoner accessories. Second stage, after a mech boss, you unlock a whole bunch of weapons, more accessories, and 4 whole armor sets. And most of this stuff is pretty good. Finally then, the third stage after Golem unlocks all of Betsy's drops, which are mostly amazing, 4 more armor sets, and even more sentries. I feel like with such an absolutely massive loot pool that's actually useful, it's hard not to put this event like really high on the list, so here we are. Finally, I got some Terra Spark boots. Let's go get a better modifier on them. Yep, these are the famous last words of someone who's experiencing the inevitable pain of the Goblin Tinkerer. And yes, I'm putting it in first place. Again. So in the number 1 spot, I have the Goblin Army. Listen, if we just took all the drops from the Goblin Army, this event is like pirate level at best. But the Goblin Tinkerer, the NPC that of course you unlock from the Goblin Army, is so good, bro. The combination of accessories for a whole load of amazing new accessories is like unbeatable with the Tinker's Workshop. Like we got Bundle of Balloons, Terra Spark boots, and all the stuff it took to get there. Literally every good shield item in the game, Berserker Glove, a bunch of mana stuff, Hand of Creation, Shell Phone, Avenger Emblem, Celestial Shell, the Grand Design, Greedy Ring, Yo-Yo Bag, Starveil, Charm of Miss Ankler, Tackle Bag, Pink Weighted Pressure Plate. Okay, maybe not that one. But this event is amazing, and the Goblin Tinkerer kinda just carries it to the end. Reforging, Tinker's Workshop, and Rocket Boots are kind of just an unmatched lineup for a pre-boss event. Also, Shadow Flame weapons are kind of fire too. And that is just about it for today. If you enjoyed, watch the next video on screen because you'll probably enjoy that too. Also, like and sub, and thanks to the members on the left. Bye bye now. Bye bye.